The animal seems to follow each other, turning the wheel of existence till eternity. The elephant depicts the dream of Queen Maya, where a white elephant enters her womb. The bull depicts the zodiac sign of Taurus, the month in which Buddha was born. The horse represents the horse Kanthaka, which Buddha is said to have used for living his princely life. The lion shows the attainment of enlightenment. In the national emblem of India, word Satyamev Jayate from Mundaka Upanishad, meaning truth alone triumphs, are inscribed below the abacus in Devanagari script. The capital is crowned by the wheel of law, Dharmachakra. The four lions symbolize Buddha spreading dharma in all directions. It was built in the commemoration of the first sermon by Buddha known as Dharmachakra Parivartana. Stupa. Stupa was burial mounds prevalent in India from the Vedic period. It is a conventional representation of a funeral cumulus in which relics and ashes of the dead were kept. During the period of Ashoka, the art of its stupas reached its climax. Almost 84,000 stupas were eri- erected during his period. Although a Vedic tradition, stupas were popularized by the Buddhists. After the death of Buddha, nine stupas were erected. Eight of them had the relics of Buddha at their Medhi, while the nine had the pot in which the relics were originally kept. A basic diagram representing the various parts of the stupa is given below. The core of the stupa was made up of unburned brick, which, while the outer surface was made by using burnt bricks, which were then covered with the thick layer of plaster. The medhi and the toran were decorated by the wooden sculptures. Devotees walk around the uh, Pradakishna Path or open ambulatory passageway as a token of worship. Examples Sanchi Stupa in the Raisen district of Madhya Pradesh is the famous of the Ashokan stupas. Piprahva stupa in Uttar Pradesh is the oldest one. The location of the nine stupas built after the death of Buddha are Rajagriha, Vaishali, Kapilavastu, Allakappa, Ramagrama, Vedapida, Pava, Kushinagar, and Pipalivana. Ayaka pillar, one of the five pillars usually erected on the four cardinal directions of the Buddhist stupa. It is prominent feature of Buddhist stupas at Amravati in present-day Andhra Pradesh. Difference between Ashokan pillars and Achaemenian pillars. The basis like composition and location. Ashokan pillars and Achaemenian pillars, which is Iranian pillars also called, the shafts of the Ashokan pillars were monolithic. They were inscribed from a single piece of stone, mainly chunar sandstones. The shaft of the Achaemenian pillars were made up of various pieces of sandstone cemented together. This is Chunar sandstone and which is pieces of sandstone cemented together. Location: the Ashokan pillars were independently ere- erected. The Achaemenid pillar were generally attached to state buildings. Okay. Popular art, like we can say, apart from the royal patronage, cave architecture, sculpture, and pottery took the expressions of art by individual effort. These were grouped together as popular forms of art and architecture. Cave architecture. This period saw the emergence of rock cut cave architecture. During the Mauryan period, the caves were generally used as viharas, that is, living quarters by the Jain and Buddhist monks, while the early caves were used by the Ajivika sects. Later, they become popular as Buddhist monasteries. The caves during the Mauryan period were marked by a highly polished finish of the interior walls and decorative gateways. Example: Barabar and Nagarjuni caves in Bihar. Barabar and Nagarjuni caves in Bihar were formed during the time of Ashoka and his grandson Dashratha and dates back to the 3rd century BC. Like we can identify Nasik caves. It is a group of 23 Buddhist caves, also known as Pandav Leni, Trirashmi Leni. They were perhaps carved between the 1st century BC and 3rd century AD and belong to the Hinayana period. However, later the influence of Mahayana sect can also be found in these caves. Under the Hinayana sect, Buddha's presence is indicated through the use of motifs and symbols like a throne and a footprint. And later the idols of Buddha were also carved inside these caves, representing influence of Mahayana Buddhism. The site also depicts an excellent symbol of water management indicated through the presence of tanks carved out of solid rocks. Sculptures. The sculptures were used primarily for the decoration of stupas in the Torana and Medhi and as a form of religious expression. Two of the famous sculptures of the Mauryan period are those of Yaksha and Yakshi. They were object of worship related to all three religions, Jainism, Hinduism, and Buddhism. The earliest mention of Yakshi can be found in Sila, Silapagdikaram, a Tamil text. Similarly, all of the Jain Tirthankaras Kars were associated with the Yakshi sculpture and Yaksha sculpture. Uh, Salabhanjika, Shalabhanjika. In Buddhist art, Shalabhanjika is an image of a Yakshi holding a tree or a reference. Shalabhanjikas can be seen as a bracket figure on the gateway of the great stupa at Sanchi. Salabhanjika motif was regarded as the auspicious symbol and incorporated into decoration of the stupa. It suggests that many people who turned to Buddhism enriched it with their own pre-Buddhist, non-Buddhist practices and beliefs. Pottery. Pottery of the Mauryan period is generally referred to a northern black polished war ware and PW northern black polished ware. They were characterized by the black paint and highly lustrous finish and were generally used as a luxury items. They have often been referred to as the highest level of pottery post modern art. After the decline of Mauryan Empire in 2nd century BC, small dynasties sprang up in various parts of India. Among them, the Sungas, Kanvas, Kushans, Shakas in the north, and Satvahanas, Iksa, Ikshavukas, Abhiras, Vatakas in southern and western India gained prominence. Similarly, the religious scene saw the emergence of Brahmanical sects such as Saivites, Vaishnavites, Shaktitites. The art of this period started reflecting the changing socio political scenario as well. The architecture in the form of rock cut caves and stupas continued with each dynasty introducing some unique features or their own. Similarly, different schools of sculpture emerged, and the art of sculpture reached its climax in the post Mauryan period. Architecture. Rock cut caves. The construction of rock cut caves continued as in the Mauryan period. However, this period saw the development of two types of rock cut caves, Chaitya and Vihara. Chaitya and Vihara. While the Viharas were residential halls for the Buddhist and Jain monks and were developed during the time of Mauryan Empire, the Chaitya's halls were developed during this times also. They were mainly uh, quadrangular chambers with flat roofs and were used as a prayer halls. The caves also had open courtyards and stone screen walls to shield from rain. They were also decorated with human and animal figures. Karli Chaitya, Ajanta caves, 29 caves, 25 viharas, and 4 chaityas. Udaygiri and Khandagiri caves, Odisha. They were constructed under the Kalinga king Kharavela in the 1st 2nd century BC near modern day Bhubaneswar. The cave complex has both artificial and natural caves. They were possibly carved out as residence of Jain monks. There are 18 caves in Udaygiri and 15 in Khandagiri. Udaygiri caves are famous for the Hathi Gumpha inscription, which is carved out in a Brahmi script. The inscription starts out with the Jain Namo Kar mantra and highlights various military campaigns undertaken by King Kharavela. Rani Gumpha cave in Udaygiri is storied and has some beautiful sculptures, stupas. Stupas became larger and more decorative in the post modern period. Stones was increasingly used in place of wood and brick. The Shunga dynasty introduced the idea of torans as beautiful decorated gateways to the stupas. The torans were inter- intricately carved with figures and patterns and were evidence of Hellenistic influence. Example: Barhat Stupa in Madhya Pradesh and the Toran at Sanchi Stupa in Madhya Pradesh. Sculpture. Three prominent schools of sculpture developed in this period at three different regions of India, centered at Gandhara, Mathura, Amravati. Gandhara School. The Gandhara School of Art developed in west frontier of Punjab near modern day Peshawar and Afghanistan. The Greek invaders brought with them the tradition of Greek and Roman sculptures were influenced the local tradition of the region. Thus, the Gandhara school also came to be known as the Greco Indo Indian School of Art. The Gandhara school flourished in two stages in the period from 50 BC to 500 AD, while the former school was known for its use of bluish gray sandstone. The later school used mud and stucco for making the sculptures. The image of Buddha and Buddhist sattvas were based on the Greco-Roman pantheons and resembled that of Apollo. Mathura school. The Mathura school flourished on the bank of river Yamuna in the period between 1st century BC to 3rd century AD. 1st century, 1st and 3rd century AD. The sculptures of the Mathura school were influenced by the stories and imageries of all three religions of time: Buddhism, Jainism, Hinduism. The images were modeled on the other Yaksha images found during the Mauryan period. The Mathura school showed a striking use of symbolism in the images. The Hindu gods were represented using their avayudhas. For example, Shiva is shown through linga and mukhalinga. Similarly, the halo around the head of the Buddha is larger than in the Gandhara school and decorated with the geometrical patterns. Buddha is shown to be surrounded by two bodhisattvas, Padmapani holding a lotus and Vajrapani holding a thunderbolt. Amravati school. In the southern part of the India, the Amravati school developed on the bank of river Krishna under the patronage of Satvahana rulers, while the other two schools focus on the single image. The Amravati school put more emphasis on the use of dynamic images, narrative arts. The sculpture of this school made excessive use of Tribhanga posture. That is the body with three bands. Difference between Gandhara, Mathura, and Amravati schools. The difference between Gandhara, Mathura, and Amravati schools. External basis, external influence in ingredients used, religious influence, and patronage, area of development. Gandhara school, heavy influence of Greek or Hellenistic sculpture, so it is also known as Indo-Greek art. Mathura school, it was developed indigenously and not influenced by external culture. Amravati, it was developed indigenously and not influenced by external cultures. Ingredient use. Early Gandhara school used bluish grey sandstone, while the later period saw the use of mud and stucco. The sculptures of the Mathura school were made using spotted red sandstone. The sculptures of the Amravati school were made using white marbles. Okay. Religious influence. Mainly Buddhist imagery influenced by Greco-Roman Pathoan. Influence of all three religions of the time: Hinduism, Jainism, and Buddhism. Mainly Buddhist Mainly Buddhist influence. Religious influence. Mainly Buddhist imagery influenced by Greco-Roman Pathoans. Influence of all three religions of that time: Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism. Mainly Buddhist influence. Amravati school. Patronized by Kushana's rulers. For Gandhara school. Patronized by Kushana's rulers in Mathura school also. Patronized by Satvahana rulers in Amravati. Area of development: developed in north west frontier in the modern day area of Kandhar. Developed in Mathura, around Mathura, Song, and Kankali Tila in Uttar Pradesh. Kankali Tila was famous for Jain sculptures. developed in the Krishna Godavari lower valley in and around Amravati and Nagarjuna Konda.